What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It shows today Lux King, and today we're going to be going through our first discussion video. As someone who has watched and played a lot of Inazuma 11, there has been a good amount of times in the anime where Hissatsus have either been copied by other players or they have been slightly modified to become a new Hissatsu. In today's video, I will be talking about some of the times in which I think Inazuma did a good job copying Hissatsus, and also about some bad ones. I will be giving my reasons as to why I think they either did a good job or not. This list is in no particular order, so without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So first off, of the Hissatsu I'm going to be talking about today, it's going to be Fire Tornado, which gets used by Neil Turner in Season 1. Now, this is the first time in the anime a Hissatsu gets copied by another player. And I must say, they did a pretty good job introducing us to this being a thing, as I think letting Neil use it not only shows how robotic brainwashing was at that point in the anime, but it also shows that it was an unusual thing at the same time as well. Because when Neil used the shot, everyone at Raymond was in dismay because of the fact that it was literally Axel Blaze's shot. You have to keep in mind as well that at this point in the anime, Fire Tornado was one of the strongest shots yet. So the reaction it left afterwards was also pretty good, as it fired up Raymond up to train even more for the upcoming match. However though, we are only starting this video off with this instance because of the fact that Neil sadly doesn't use Fire Tornado in their match against Raymond, which I think would have been a very cool thing to see, as Mark wasn't able to stop the shot initially, and so it would have been cool to see him fight against it. Regardless though, I do think this moment was pretty hype at the moment it happened and deserves some more recognition for starting something which gets done up until Inazuma 11 Orion. Okay, so for the next entry, we'll be talking about one of the instances in which I think they kind of did a bad job copying an Hissatsu. And in this case, which Hissatsu we're going to be talking about are going to be Thiefsai and Futurot. Now, can somebody explain to me why these two Hissatsus exist? These two Hissatsus get used by the team Prodigy Grammar in Inazuma 11 Go. And now, I don't have an issue with the idea of the Hissatsu. I mean, Prodigy Grammar wasn't really a flashy team, so it makes sense. However, the reason I do have an issue with these two is the fact that they are basically just the copy-pasted versions of brainwashing their Hissatsu's defense and attack scan. It just seems lazy to me and also a waste of new Hissatsus being used in that season. Optimal Trajectory is fine, as it isn't a copy from a shot from brainwashing, same with Moonsault Stamp, but for some reason they thought it was okay to make the dribble and block be basically the same as attack and defense scan, to which at that point, why not just make them use that instead? We already knew in the anime at this point that you could copy other Hissatsus, so I don't see why the smart Prodigy Grammar couldn't do the same thing here. And for these reasons, this is why I think this is one of the bad examples they copied / took inspiration off from an Hissatsu. For this entry, we're going back to Season 1, and this time we will be talking about Back Tornado. Back Tornado is the Hissatsu used by Marvin Murdoch in Season 1, and once again we see an instance of Fire Tornado being copied, but this time with a twist. Simply said, Back Tornado is just Fire Tornado but backwards with blue flames. So why do I think that it's another good example of a Hissatsu being copied instead of being lazy? The reason for this is because of why Marvin most likely learned the shot to begin with. As you probably know, Axel used to be on the same team as Marvin, but left him after the incident with Julia. So after Axel left, I think it's very likely to assume that Marvin was out for revenge against Axel to the point that he tried to make his own Fire Tornado, but better. As seen from the moment Marvin and his brothers get introduced in the anime, that they are trying their best to one-up Axel in any way possible. And so I like the idea of him coming up with Back Tornado as a way to one-up Axel and his Fire Tornado, which is why I think this is another good instance of an Hissatsu being copied rather than a bad one. So for this next entry, we will be talking about the Diamond Hissatsus, Diamond Hand, Diamond Punch, and Diamond Arm, which got introduced in Inazuma 11 Orion. Now, I don't think I'm alone when I say that these Hissatsus shouldn't exist. Basically, some of my issues with these Hissatsus are not only the fact that they are diamond copies from already beloved moves, there's also this weird thing that Mark is somehow able to learn 3 differently named Hissatsus in the span of a single match, which already is a lot, and that's excluding him learning Super Combat in the same match as well. So that makes 4 different Hissatsus that Mark has learned in that single match. But then there's also the fact that it somehow is stronger than any of Mark's other Hissatsus he has used before this season, and this exact same match. I just don't get how Diamond Punch is supposed to be stronger than Diamond Hand, when the base form of the Hissatsu is the same. Like, yes, I get it, he punches the ball instead of catching it, but it shouldn't be that big of a power upgrade, I got the feeling. And what I find to be even more annoying is how Mark just copies Dusk's grabber arm Hissatsu to stop Sergei's Diamond Edge. I got the feeling if they really wanted to go that route, why not just have Dusk in the goal to then use Grabber's arm instead? He was on Inazuma Japan, he was on the bench, he already didn't have a lot of matches already in the season, so there was no reason for him not being able to do this. And so for these reasons, I think this was just a bad instance of them like trying to copy Hissatsus and like making new ones, because it just didn't work out too well. So, for today's last entry, I want to talk about my personal favorite case of a character creating an Hissatsu based off another one, with it this time being Majin the Wave from Sandra Fisher in Inazuma 11 Orion. Now, this Hissatsu and the small story plot were my reason for making this video to begin with because of how much I liked it. So, Majin the Wave is a different variation of Majin the Hand, which is Mark's move. And what I like about this instance is the fact that while the Hissatsu itself isn't an exact copy-paste, Sandra still feels uncomfortable using the move in her debut match against Perfect Spark, to the point of her using Mermaid Feel even though that it is much weaker than Majin the Wave. The reason being that the Hissatsu was based off somebody else's, and I like this train of thought because before, characters would just react shocked for that moment and can continue on with the game, while with Sandra it's not just as simple as that. It's not as simple as, oh, let me surprise everyone and continue the game. No, she actually felt ashamed because she took inspiration for her new Hissatsu of somebody else's, which I think is a very nice angle to bring this at. Because while yes, we had this kind of happen with Darren as well, coming to the same conclusion, for me, him learning Mao the Hand just wasn't as satisfying as compared to like Majin the Wave. I think Mao the Hand still looks a lot more like the other Hissatsu Mark had. Like God Catch just looks very similar, and I mean, yes, technically Darren's move came first, but I don't know, it just wasn't as satisfying for me. And I really like what Mark had to say about it too, being that everyone gets stronger by taking what they lack from the people who have it and using it for themselves, which makes her finally come out of her shell and use the move in the match. And I just really like that interaction, you know. It makes her come out of her shell, she just gets confident in using it, and once she shows it off, it actually delivers too. And so for all these reasons, I think Majin the Wave is one of the best copy Hissatsus that was ever used in the anime. So, what do you guys think? A big part as to why I love Inazuma 11 is because of the Hissatsus, and with Victory Road being on the way with characters having 6 move spots, I'm excited to see what each and new character learn in their movesets and maybe even inherit from other memorable players. I know there are plenty more instances of copy Hissatsus which I haven't talked about in this video, but if I were to go over every single one of them in this video would be longer than the development time of Victory Road itself. So if you guys would like me to do a part 2 to this specific topic, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'm planning to do more of these Inazuma discussion videos in the future, so stay tuned for those. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one.
跡形もなく叩き潰してやる。来い！虚空の女神アテナ！